The wheels on the
Anderson
bus.
Paak? Is that what we're at? No, we were talking about
Well, we were calling. I was
producer and MC collaborations, and I think that's where we got to.
Well, I mean, I was saying Anderson Paak is essentially like the new Nate Dogg. He's taken kind of Nate Dogg's formula, but he's flipped it and he's doing something that Nate didn't do. He's doing more collaborative, like full length projects, like with
Right.
Bruno, but also doing more like solo material as well. Upgrade the formula, give it a little twist. But that's what I hear when I hear Anderson Paak in a vacuum.
No, I agree with you. I think Anderson Paak's incredibly talented, and I wanted to see Anderson Paak and Kendrick do a record together, like a full album. I guess initially when Anderson Paak came to the camp, I felt like him and Kendrick had like similar, like I said, styles make fights. I think they stylistically mesh, but Anderson Paak has just proven that he can mesh with anything and everybody. He's just that talented of a musician, as an artist, as an MC, as a writer. I mean, he has songs with Smokey Robinson to
He
Andre
brings he
3000.
brings he brings something to the track, Mike.
Yeah, he does.
He
And
brings something to
um
the track.
and usually too, whenever he's on the track, like you said, he's a drummer. He's a musician. Period. There's a
Mm-hmm.
certain level of musicianship when he's on the
That's
track as well.
So let's go. So let's go back to him being a drummer. That's what I was trying to say. Well, he fits perfectly in the spirit of hip hop because what was hip hop originally based on, Mike?
Oh yeah,
Based
yeah,
on based on drum loops.
yeah, yeah. Rapping to the drummers beat. Let's
He, he
dance.
he played drums, so you can go slide him in anywhere, and it's hip hop because he the drummer on the
Listen,
track.
man. If everything went away and we just had drums, hip hop could still survive. Like I
Yeah.
remember when
No,
the
we need
Neptunes
spares too.
dialed it back with grinding or whatnot. People thought that was just so groundbreaking, and it was at the time because it was a dial back. But yeah, when you got the drums, you could do whatever at this
That's what I'm
point.
saying. You know, all they did was take it back and put them drums on like 59. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, no, 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 take them all the way up and let it just like boom. You
At
know?
the end of the day, because when did Malibu come out, y'all? Malibu was like 2015. It's been a minute now.
Maybe.
But anyway, Anderson Paak has carved out a very nice catalog for himself, and he's continuously going. I think if
Let,
Dr.
you
Dre
know,
actually puts together a full effort, which I don't think he will, I think Anderson Paak has to be a big part of it. I think Anderson Paak has to be kind of like a mailman, hitman-ish type of ride along with the next Dr. Dre effort if there is going to be one. And I think these 6 songs just showed us that.
no, no, no. He needs to be all those things. Actually, I was thinking, I'm with you, Mike. He actually needs to be like Mailman and Nate Dogg on the next project, like both of
Yeah.
those. Yeah, combined. Mike, like the scenic route, I know why you love that the most because, like, just just stylistically, it's probably the best song on here. But and I'm going to submit this to you because that's the thing with these songs. Oh, well, you can tell he made that to rock with Ross. And when you really go
Mm-hmm.
back and listen to all these tracks, it's like, oh, well, gospel is made to rock with him. Scenic Route is made to rock with Ross. You know, I'm going to get the black privilege and my thoughts on it in a minute, but it's like he kind of, for the first time, gave you songs where it seemed like he carved out the beats for the artist instead of bringing the artist into his world when he's at the helm. And
It's
that's new.
interesting because we've talked about that. You know what I'm saying? And usually,
We talked about that
yeah,
specifically.
yeah, and usually Dr. Dre does the opposite. I think this is because it's for a video game. I think this is because it's for Grand Theft Auto, so he's doing the opposite. But if this was for an album, it'd probably be a little bit different. I agree with you. What did you
But
think
like I told
about?
Mike,
Go ahead.
he's capable of it. But here's what happens with being capable of it. If this was his project, Mike, how many of these songs would make the cut?
I don't think any of them.
I think maybe two, ETA and Scenic Group potentially would make the cut. I think
I don't
potentially
think
what
Scenic Group
I
will make it, and I agree with you on ETA. I don't think Scenic Group will make it because I didn't think it was his sound. But
right
again,
sounds like he made it for Ross. It's in Ross's zone, right?
yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, and I kind of like that he did that. But the record is strong enough that maybe towards the back end or on some bonus tracks type stuff. And I don't want to skip around too much and jump a record, but I want to talk about Black Privilege, right?
before you do, I want to ask you this, and this is still on subject. What did you think of the Compton album?
I did. See, that's the thing when it's Dre. It's like, well, that's like that's like a 4 out of 5, and it doesn't even feel like a four because it's you.
What I mean, all right, let's just say we were doing a show on it, right? What would your actual critiques of the Compton album be? Like, let's just say it came out today, and it's Friday, and I don't know. We hadn't listened to the album in a minute, so it might not be fresh in your mind. But what were some of your thoughts on hearing the Compton album when it came out?
Not up to his beat standards outside of about 3 or 4 records. Most notably, The Diary. The Diary is probably the best record on there. The intro and the outro are probably the best songs.
I think one of my takeaways was the fact that, and I know times have changed. There just wasn't a standout song on there. Like there
That's
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't a G thing on there. And I know this is very critical because these are high points. But there wasn't a next episode on there. There wasn't a Still Dre on there. There wasn't an Explosive on there. Like there wasn't a memorable song on there. They weren't bad records, right? But they almost kind of, and I say this respectfully, they kind of, a friend of mine, Will, he has this term that he used. I heard it for the first time when he was talking about, I think it was the Suit and Tie record with Justin Timberlake and Jay-Z. He said the song sounds overproduced. And I laughed like what? What's overproduced? But that Compton album sounds overproduced.
Mike, it's crazy. I have a friend, Dion. He's a software engineer out in Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We used to work together. When the Justin Timberlake album came out, that's exactly what he said about the record and for a good bit of that album. He's like, yeah, but
Wow.
Timberland has to try so hard to make this album great. It's overproduced.
Yeah, and I felt like that about the Compton album, and it was overproduced in almost a theatrical sense, right? I think at the time, Empire was on that show, and they actually came up with some. I think Timbaland was like music producer, arranger,
Music
or
director.
whatnot on that
Yeah.
show, at least for the first season. So some of the songs on there were actually pretty dope, but they came across as very theatrical because it was made for stage, right? And it was made for a television series. That's kind of how those Compton songs to me kind of came through the speakers, like they could have been on Empire or something.
Well, how
Very
about this?
theatrical in that
I mean,
sense.
at the end of the day, you know what Compton really sounded like was Rush. Was because it felt like the bones of a lot of good stuff potentially could have been there had he had time to craft it. Because, like I said, I even forget the name of the first track with King Mez. King Mez was from Charlotte, by the way. QC in the house. But that first record, Animals and Diary at the end were the only records to me that even really stood out as in like, yeah, I want to hear that again.
I
And
think
that's
the For
very,
the Love
very
of Money was the song that I kept playing. The song with Jill Scott.
yeah, I know a song you see that. I mean that
Yeah.
see, and that's what I mean. It's rare that a Dr. Dre project comes out and you're trying to talk about like the 3 or 4 best records. You're usually talking about the whole damn project.
Right.
Right.
But yeah. So with that being said, and I only brought up that project because I don't feel like it really had an identity either. So at this point, listening to these 6 songs, I'm like, sonically, what actually is Dr. Dre's identity in 2021?
Well, Mike, I don't think this gives us any answers. Actually,
Yeah.
I think the closest thing we have to an answer is Scenic Route. That would be like I told you earlier on when we first started. That's the closest thing to a Chronic 2001 type of song and vibe from these set of songs. But Mike, I do feel like if we were rating this, I would rate Black Privilege as a missed opportunity, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
First of all, as soon as I heard the track, I was like, Game need to be on here. And then I heard him start rapping. I'm like, Game is on here, writing these bars.
Yeah.
All right. So, because my initial thought, Mike, I have Kendrick and Game. I'm like, man, this beat, when I heard the beat, I'm like, this is a great opportunity from Kendrick and Game to get on here and catch some wreck at the same time. Then I heard his whole rap style in the bars. I'm like, well, Game's on here. Kendrick's nowhere to be found. I'm going to scratch that thought. But then I started listening to the track some more, and I was thinking, you want to know what, Mike? Since he's pulling out all these heavy hitters, and he's connected to both and has made records with both, that beat is the type of beat that Nas and Jay can get off on. And since you're collaborating with everybody and making tracks for everybody else, and we're taking it there, I would have liked to have heard Nas and Jay on Black Privilege. Look at the theme, look at the beat. I actually think Jay stylistically fits on there better than Nas does, but I think they can both get in and come off because it's still rooted in the elements of what Nas likes fundamentally with the bass line, but it does what Jay likes, like in terms of the pattern.
Okay. I wanna go with what you said initially. You're right. This was a missed opportunity for Kendrick Lamar to be on this record. I mean, subject wise, sonically, And the fact that, again, these guys are on the same bill when it comes to this Super Bowl halftime show. And what better way to get people ready for Kendrick Lamar, or if he does have some new music coming, than have him on a song called Black Privilege?
No, Mike, you're right. That's why I said I immediately went west and thought of Game and Kendrick on this record together. But then when I realized Game was writing it, I'm like, okay, Kendrick's not getting on. And my thought just from hearing the track, Mike, I'm like, man, all the Nas and Jay collaborations, none of those beats are better than this beat. Get on this beat and catch some rep.
I mean, honestly, man, it makes me feel like Kendrick might not be coming with anything, man. I don't know if Kendrick's coming with any new music in the next month and a half. It's not a foregone conclusion.
Mike,
Do you feel like anything's coming?
No, Mike, he should have caught this wave. He should have caught this wave. But since he didn't catch this wave, I'm going to assume he's in album mode.
Okay. You're going to assume he's in album mode.
I'm going to assume he's in
album mode.
I'm
going to say this.
You're going to assume he's fading.
I'm going to say this. I don't think we're going to get a Kendrick Lamar album between now and the Super Bowl. You do?
Ooh, Mike, you want to know what? How about this? Because when the NFL playoffs start, like what game are we at? Most teams 13 games, 17
I
games.
think it's week 15, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so about 2 or 3 actual weeks left, right?
Something like that. I think the Super Bowl is like the first Sunday of February. Okay, correct us if we're wrong, guys.
When they start promoting the NFL playoffs, because they're going to start promoting the Super Bowl festivities and stuff around that time, they're going to start talking about the Super Bowl more. If we don't get no run in about 2-3 weeks when that kicks off, Mike, I'm going to lean with you and say we ain't going to get nothing. But right now I'm going to say he's in album mode. Yeah.
I just don't feel it coming, man. I mean, I think that, again, if it were coming, this would have been the perfect opportunity to get a buzz going. You ain't dropped since 2017. And Dr. Dre rarely puts out music. And it's a cop-out because it's like, this is on GTA, so it's not like it's actually on an album. You could have got on this shit, flexed your shit, and you know what I'm saying? It would have been no harm, no foul, really. The fact that there is nothing on this, that's alarming to me.
I mean, how about this, Mike?
Miss Lynette says, M. Lynette says February 13th. Is the Super Bowl on February 13th? All right, so we got basically almost 2 months.
More or less.
I don't think we're getting a new Kendrick Lamar project in 2 months. I don't.
I mean, Mike, albums get recorded in 1-2 weeks. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. He could be in album mode right now. Like literally while we're saying this, he could be halfway into the album.
He had dropped an album since 2017. I guess I'm not really. He's fallen into the whole Dr. Dre Outkast realm for me at this point. I'm not expecting an album.
Really? Is it that serious to you, Mike? Like all jokes aside, is it that serious?
I'm not expecting that. It's about to be 2022. He hasn't dropped an album since 2017. How can I expect new music? Especially when we're in an era where people are dropping music like that. They are. Anybody can name who's in this generation, there's nobody else who's taken off since 2017 that we talk about. Young or old.
Mike, in these 5 years, Griselda has galvanized an entire empire.
Yeah.
Roman style, Egyptian style.
I mean, Jay-Z has dropped an album since then.
We already went through the Nas thing. Was it not?
Yeah, Nas done dropped 4 albums since then. So, I mean, who are we gonna mention? Who else are we gonna mention? Snoop done dropped an album. Drake's obviously dropped albums. J. Cole stays working.
Yeah, Drake's dropped a couple albums. Cole's dropped a couple albums.
DeCarlo says, Mike, Kendrick's gonna make the best album you've ever heard in this era. Watch. I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Mike, he just need to make something as good as Alfredo or King's Disease 2 or Pray for Paris.
You're saying that like that's easy to do or something.
It's not easy to do, but if you're somebody of his caliber, you're supposed to be capable of doing it. So, Mike, how about this, Mike? People don't go through like the turnstiles like to see basketball games. to see people who they have expectations of performing, not performing. Like if you're going to see Steph Curry, you want to see him hit 6 to 12 threes. If you're going to see KD, you want to see him get 30 to 35. It's your expectation because you know that they can do it. It's
Well,
what you're paying for.
the problem is that the expectations don't get any easier the longer you wait.
No, but that's what you pay for. So,
Yeah.
so like the expectation is that
I'll
he's
tell you
always
what.
no, his expectation as a performer, and this is what I keep leaning back on. It's like, well, he's always performed when he has performed.
That's real. I mean, you know what? I'll tell you this.
So
If
he's
he
going to perform in my
if he
estimation.
goes out there and drops a classic to make everybody forget about this long break, he's definitely a top 5 guy.
Top 5?
All right. He solidifies his top 10.
There we go. That's a little better.
But depending on what this effort is, if it's that incredible where we're like, yo, this was worth the 5-year wait, and and people still feel like he's at the top of the game, I have to consider him for top 5.
So, Mike, I'll give him top 5 consideration if this happens. First of all, I'd like to say to all of you who told me To Pimp a Butterfly was better than Good Kid, Mad City all these years, how wrong do you feel now that you never played that album?
I still think it's a better album.
It's not, Mike. You don't play it. It's ridiculous.
I don't really play Good Kid, Mad City like that either. I think that Kendrick's one of those people who, like I said, he's kind of like a black version of Eminem in a sense where he's so technically sound. I can't say this stuff's not like, on a technical level great, but it doesn't have a lot of replay value. I gotta admit.
This is what I'm saying about, okay, so let's just put it on a flat surface, so to speak. If you're playing your playlist and a song from To Pimp a Butterfly comes on, it doesn't invoke you to want to listen to the rest of the album. When songs from Good Kid, Mad City come on, it makes you think about the other great records on that album. It makes you want to listen to them. Like when Backseat Freestyle comes on, it's like, oh, you want to know? I want to hear Money Trees now.
Well, I feel the opposite. Whenever I hear like hood politics or not hood politics, what I'm talking about. Damn, like Black of the Berry, or if I hear like the live version of which I think was a brilliant addition to the album because the regular version of not so much. Now the weakest spot to me on To Pimp a Butterfly is King Kunta. Never liked that song. I don't even think that song's at the level of the rest of the album. So I will give you that. There's no King Kuntas on Good Kid, Mad City. There's no songs on Good Kid, Mad City where I'm like, yeah, this shouldn't be on here.
Mike, it's a beautiful record, but I'm just going to keep on saying this. It's a beautiful piece of artwork to hang on the wall. We just happen to exist in this part of the art form where you play it in your ride, not hang it on the wall.
I don't know, man. I think
we get Mad City in the ride.
Yeah.
You're riding around To Pimp a Butterfly, Mike. You know you don't. Everybody know that they don't. And I just say this to say,
Money Trees is special.
If he comes back and makes something comparable to Good Kid, Mad City, we can have some top 5 conversation. Not To Pimp a Butterfly or Damn. That's not top 5 consideration because you don't ride to that.
What did you think about Damn?
I mean, Mike, I enjoy listening to Damn more than I enjoy listening to Pimp a Butterfly. I still think To Pimp a Butterfly is a slightly better record, but neither one of them are Good Kid, Mad City, and neither is Section 8.
I feel like he was more versatile on Damn. I think Damn, I don't know, it feels like Damn is more him, right?
It does. Here's what I will say about Damn. The MC on there, that was a guy that I heard. It's like, oh no, that's the best MC in the game, because I don't know if you necessarily said that with full credence at the end of Good Kid, Mad City, and he put together To Pimp a Butterfly so well that you sometimes forget the level of lyricist he is. On Damn, it's like, oh no, he is the best MC in the game. Listen to that.